afternoon. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 10th regular Brevard County Commission meeting. Do I have Mr. Anthony Myers here? Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
Yes, my name is Anthony Myers. I work with Teen Missions International in Merritt Island. And I just thank you guys for your dedication and your responsibility to Brevard County in your position. So let's pray. Father in heaven, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that you give each one of us. I thank you for each one here tonight. And Lord, we just pray as we come together, and Lord, that you just give clarity to the commissioners here as they hear. And Lord, as those who come and speak, that they would be clear in getting their point across. And Father, that you would just give everybody open minds and hearts to what your desires may be. The Lord, that the decisions tonight would be of you and not of us. And so we just thank you for each one here. Give us safety as we go home, and a good rest and strength for another day tomorrow. So we thank you for this time we have tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Commissioners, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for August 8 and August 22? Motion by Commissioner Steele. Second by Commissioner Feltner. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes 5-0. We're moving into resolutions, and it's my honor, Miss Christine Schverak. I've never said your last name before. I always call you Miss Christie. Come on up. Thank you for showing up and allowing us to do this with you tonight, ma'am. I'm going to read this, and it says a whole lot of stuff that I feel from my heart, but I appreciate all the work you've done for us and your service to the county. And you have such a good heart. I'm going to read this. Whereas Ms. Christine Schverak has been providing sound counsel to Brevard County Board of County Commissioners as Assistant County Attorney from 2017 and serving as the intern county attorney from July through August 2022. Thank you for putting up with us during that time period. Whereas Ms. Schverak is a decorated veteran of the United States Army, retiring as a lieutenant colonel with 22 years of service to our great nation. After graduating from the University of Florida's Levin College of Law, she was admitted to the Florida Bar on October 16, 2002, and then earned her Master's of Law and Military Law from the Judge Advocate General School in 2006. I know, pretty cool, huh?
Big deal.
Whereas her contribution to Brevard County is evident with multiple Brevard County departments and agencies, including the North Brevard Economic Development Zone, Merritt Island Redevelopment Agency, Fire Rescue, Tourism, Central Services, Purchasing, Bonds, Audit Committee, Land Acquisition, Surveying, Asset Management, Fleet Service, Mosquito Control, and Beaches. I bet you left because we didn't pay you enough, huh? And whereas Christie's reputation for level-headed and thorough advice is known throughout the county offices, she would also reliably initiate the happy birthday song and still the white elephant gifts at all the office parties. And you did save the life of a coworker that was choking with I'm not going to be able to say that, with that choking maneuver. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Brevard County Board of County Commissions does hereby extend to Ms. Christine Schverak our sincere appreciation for her outstanding legal advice and wish her a wonderful retirement, enjoying her family, walks on the beach, viewing sea turtles, and listening to Whitney Houston and the sound of rain against the window. County Commissioners, I'd like to make a motion to adopt this by Commissioner Feltner. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Steele. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Ma'am, thank you.
I would just like to say thank you. It's really been a privilege to work with this board. By the time I counted it up, I served under 4 different county attorneys. And certainly providing legal advice to this board, it's a team effort. I think we've got some outstanding assistant county attorneys up there as well that was always great to be able to bounce ideas off of them. And I certainly would not have been as productive. I think Calvin is here with him as an administrative assistant helping me. And I just also would like to say that for the county staff that I worked up, they were just phenomenal. Everybody that I had to call or work with to solve issues always would go the extra mile. And so it's just really been a privilege and an honor to serve Brevard County and its people. Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Have Renee Torpy and the Domestic Violence Task Force come up. I picked the wrong day to wear pink. Sorry about that. I did wear purple yesterday, actually. So I have a resolution that I'm going to read for you, and then I'll make a motion afterward. The chair will recognize you to make some remarks, and then we'll take a group photo. Okay?
Thank you.
For the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to an abuser's systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and/or economic control, and whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people and are supported by societal indifferences, and whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole throughout the United States and the world, and whereas all citizens of Brevard, government officials, law enforcement agencies, healthcare providers, domestic violence programs, social service providers, educators, clergy, and community leaders must join together to end the abuse and violence that continues to threaten the health, safety, and well-being of so many in our community. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Together with the Brevard County Domestic Violence Task Force, we urge citizens to speak out against domestic violence, support survivors' efforts to live free from abuse, and hold those who abuse accountable. Done, ordered, and adopted in regular session this 10th day of October 2023. And Madam Chair, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Feltner.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Steele. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Can we take a group picture?
We will, but you're recognized.
Oh.
I think she's going to recognize you, though.
Oh, please go ahead and speak.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. I'm here with the Domestic Violence Task Force. We have state attorneys, we have Women's Center, we have the Sheriff's Office, different law enforcement agencies, the Women's Center, and of course Serene Harbor, and we all work together to try to stop the violence. So thank you.
I think we should take pictures. Come on.
Madam Chair, I have some pins. Would y'all like some pins?
Oh, that's so nice.
Is that okay?
Commissioner Goodson, I believe we're all going down on this one, sir. I believe we're all going to the floor.
Wait, one more, sorry. This is for her, Anna. Here we go.
Commissioners, do you have any of the agenda items that you want pulled? I have a few cards on these items.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, sir. Then I'm going to start with Mr. Heffelfinger. You've got a few, so I'm going to let you come up and just address yours, if that's all right, and then I'll go through the other cards, sir. And I will help you with these card numbers in case you forget which ones.
Oh, I try to keep track since I have to fill all that crap out, so.
Okay, very good.
It's been a while since I've been here. A lot of stuff on this big, we approve it all in one wing. I figured I'd just give you guys some opportunity to brag about how much work you've done to make all this stuff happen. And I have a couple of questions that I hope maybe you can answer. My first one is F2, and this is a proposal for an outreach and education stormwater. I guess the background on the Legistar says that we did this a while back. I want to know where that money's coming from. Is that all Searle money, or is that, can you answer that?
Mr. Heffelfinger, we will, this is public comment part. We typically don't do that.
Okay.
If you send your questions ahead of time, a lot of times.
Well, you don't give me a lot of time since you published this on Friday. We had a holiday on Monday. I did send one question in. Hopefully we can have a conversation about that. But just before you vote, that's a lot of money that's not putting in septic systems. That's a lot of money that's not putting in drainage culverts. Just to say, hey, look, community, we're great, what we're doing, don't throw your trash in the side. I think we all got that. Sorrel's been around a long time. We know the stormwater issues. That is a lot of money being spent on a PR campaign. I just want you to think about that before you vote, because there's not one septic system getting installed with that, as far as I know. I'll move on.
Okay, sir. F13.
Yes, F13, establish of a sign-on bonus for the fire medics. I think we just approved budgets. This is the 7,000 pop bonus for these guys to try to retain them. It's got some caveats that would hold them to that. In other words, you got to pay it back if you bail on them early. I like it. I hope that's coming out of the firefighter budget and that's not coming out of taxpayer additional dollars. Because we think we just gave them a pretty good size assessment increase coming up, and I haven't paid that bill yet. If you guys make me mad, I might not send it. So think about what they're asking for additional money. I don't know why this was not funded in their original proposal. I just don't. So think about that. I like the idea. I mean, the firefighters, back when Lober was here, he said, hey, we got to work on retaining people. We're going to try to get the union to incentivize the young guys. I see that as that, but I sure hope that they're using the money they already take from me and not asking me to give them $7,000 more a pop. Because I don't know how many people they get a year, so 7,000 times X. I don't even know how big a number that is a year. So I'm concerned about that because I am concerned about my money, if you hadn't noticed my common trend in all this. All right, so that's F13. So think about where that money's coming from and why, if they're not paying for it, I think they should have fact found for it. Approval of the budget change request, F14. This is the sheriff. I was wondering, the information that's provided doesn't say why the sheriff is he getting more money if he's not. So you didn't have enough information there for me to even think about what was going on. I think it had something to do with Tyco Airport. I hope you watch where the money is because he already got his money. I don't even know if that's a 23 budget change request or if that's an amendment for 23-24. So a little more information in the future might be helpful. That's all I got on 14. Let's see, F15, non-ad valorem assessments. Looks like you guys are taking a hit. And it says, let me see what my notes are. I would assume that the budgets were already done since this is just showing up now. You previously counted on that money that the agricultural people are now exempt from. I guess there's some words in there that say, hey, you're going to look at that. So you're losing some money, and I was just wondering what we're going to see come down the road because we lost some assessment. And I don't know why that wasn't picked up. If that law changed, why did we fact find and not account for the loss of revenue in the budgets? So if you ask me, that sounds like a miss on your guys' part. But I'm worried that when you don't get that money, you're going to ask me for more. That's my concern on that one. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of not big money when we talk about the size of this budget. I mean, the fire service non-ad valorem took a 40,000 hit, Brevard County Stormwater took an 80,000 hit, and Tillman Water took 6,000. So maybe that's in the noise for you guys. I don't know. Got lots of money laying around, right? I assume those are all losses due to that agriculture exemption. Can you say yes or no to that? Those are all, you're down those numbers because they didn't collect taxes? Somebody can shake their head if they know. Okay, you're not going to answer. Okay, if that's 15, let's see, 18. We're advertising some ordinances. I assume this is because we have hearings. I hope so, because you don't have any of the language there. Usually the citizens want to know what you're changing in the law before you change it so we can read it and we can come down here and complain to you. Maybe that's why there's no language. But it's nice to have, the Legistar is beautiful. You can post the language you want to modify, put it up there. We can all take a look at it and say, yay, good job, you guys. We're all for that. That is true on F18 and F19 both. There is no language on the legislation or the laws, ordinance you're wishing to change. So hopefully they're going to come up for a hearing if you advertise them. I think that's true. F20, 23 County Advisory Board Annual Written Reports, 76 pages. I want to thank Commissioner Tobias because last year he worked hard at streamlining that stuff. We got good website visibility. Great job. I was wondering, I was hoping you guys got a chance to read that and whether you've got some recommendations to streamline some more next year. Because it looks like they're pretty thin. What, did you guys get any? I know Commissioner Tobias talked about complaining that he never got recommendations. The boards met, they got together, they looked at stuff, and they never fed anything back. So maybe you guys could give a presentation later on what you think the status of the advisory boards is. I'd like to see the written reports. I'd like to see, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Tobias for making those changes. Some of the stuff, I don't know that, they weren't doing anything, but they were still, if there's boards not doing anything now, then we probably need to address that again, and I'd like to see you guys follow that up. Let's see. What's my next one? Appointments, reappointments. You're making some appointments, reappointments. I was wondering if you guys could, at some point, tell me how often you go and fill those. Is that a monthly where you look at vacancies? Because I also know that Commissioner Tobias and others, I think, said, hey, we've got openings. Nobody even applies. We can't get citizens to fill them. Why do we have boards? Nobody's interested. And I know there's a couple of openings that are on the Citizen Budget Review Committee. And I think there's some applicants, I'm not sure, but I don't know when you guys do that review process and when you fill them. But I think there's 2 openings. So at some point in the future, if you could address that, that'd be great. Let me see. On consent, I think I am done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You have a good evening.
Oh, I'll be back
I know.
tonight.
Okay. Ms. Janice Scott? You're talking on item F10.
Good afternoon, Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. Hello, Commissioner Steele. I think this is the first time I've had an opportunity to speak directly to you. I'm speaking about the interlocal agreements. As a former mayor of Cocoa Beach, I've been exposed a lot to these agreements. And what I really don't understand is why is there no truth in taxation? For example, I've served on the Central Parks Advisory Committee before it was changed to the whatever committee, and now we can't get a quorum, so we haven't really met in a year. So I'm assuming that per F15, the county commission doesn't find that that was very helpful. Back to the interlocal agreement with the school board. The school has several line items of taxation on my property tax bill. So why are Central Parks and, okay, let me start again. As a city resident, I pay taxes to Brevard County also. I pay 3 or so line items to Brevard County schools. Why is Brevard County Schools not paying for maintaining their own school property? Don't the county taxpayers own that property as well, the county school board properties? I would assume so. Let me give you another example. Cocoa Beach. It has taxing authority just like the school board, just like the county. It's like a shell game. So Cocoa Beach taxes me, then they go and pay to maintain a huge sports complex. The sports fields, the tennis, the golf, the whatever. We pay that for the residents, but also the school kids have priority over using it. So you can't use those things as taxpayer until the school's finished with it. I just think it's a big shell game, and I would like it to specifically be mentioned in every taxing authority's
ma'am.
line item,
Thank you.
what
Thank you, ma'am.
other taxing authorities are paying. Thank you.
Thank you. Always appreciate your input, ma'am. Commissioners, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, or if there's anybody who wants to.
So moved, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Steele. Second by Commissioner Goodson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes 5-0. Moving into item H1.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mary Ellen Donner, Parks and Recreation Department Director, and with me I have Melissa Powers, HR Assistant Director and formerly of the County Attorney's Office. This is a request from a year ago to bring this item back, and so I'm looking for direction with regards to the background screenings of recreation partners and their volunteers, as well as recreation instructors. Recreation instructors, we're looking at a different avenue. We're looking at working with HR to have them screened through FL9, and that was the ordinance you just previously passed, a legislative intent on your consent agenda. And the second part to this is the recreation instructor, recreation partners and their volunteers. So we were looking for direction as far as background screening.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Tobias, is that a new light, sir?
Yes, Madam Chair. Do we have any cards on this one?
We do not.
Okay. May I be recognized? Madam Chair, and this is for the benefit of some of the new commissioners. You were well aware of all this stuff, but I want to go over just real briefly where we are, where we've come from, and why we're here, and where potentially we need to go. Currently, the county rec partners are required to undergo a level 2 high-level background screening, which includes fingerprints being submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the National FBI, for a criminal background check and a background investigation from the Brevard electronic court application. These are required for rec partners and their associated volunteers and instructors. So here's the timeline. In the past, the county fully paid for these background screenings. In November 2016, the board unanimously voted to require high-level background screenings of our rec partners, coaches, instructors, and volunteers. In July of 2021, again unanimously, the board voted to require that the rec partners pay for 50% of these screenings. That was beginning July 2021 through July 2022. Beginning of August 2022, the rec partners would pay in full. However, we did a little bit of a reprieve, and on September 2022, the board voted to require that rec partners only pay $22.13, half the cost of a one-year high-level check regardless if the rec partner chose a 1-year or a 5-year high-level screening for any one additional year, and the rec partners pay the difference. That was beginning October 1, 2022. So why are we here? As you read in the agenda report, the results of an audit from FDLE by the FBI, the county has been advised it can no longer use its VECHX numbers to obtain criminal history of rec partner employees, coaches, and volunteers. Therefore, the responsibility must be passed on to the rec partners. The county must still require the same level of high level background checks with fingerprints as we have been performing since 2016. The county should require, through amending our agreements, that the rec partners alert the county should they receive a ping regarding one of their coaches or volunteers within 24 hours as updated by the background screening system. So in conclusion, there really is no change in the level of screening required by the county, just who administers the checks. We need to keep the screening at this high level as this involves our most precious resource, children. So I do have a motion. Madam Chair, would you like me to go ahead and read the motion?
Quick question, Commissioner Tobias, so you're really going with option one, and then they relay information to us within 24 hours?
Yes, but a little bit more detailed of
Okay.
option one. And that would be, I move to direct staff to perform our rec partners, that moving forward, they will be responsible for conducting and paying for a level 2, high-level background screening, including fingerprinting of their rec partners and their associated volunteers, and as a requirement of the agreement with the county, to include an additional requirement in the agreements in which they must notify the county within 24 hours of any arrest or change in criminal status as updated by the background screening system regarding any of their coaches or volunteers. It's just a little bit more specificity, but again, it's the same level that we currently require right now. So that's the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a good motion. Got a motion and a second by Commissioner Steele. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, I'm going to flip all the ayes for a matter of time. So I'm going to start with item I4, the legislative program, so that we can move along with that. I think we're going to need to pick somebody that will go represent us as well to the Florida friends that we have. So I'm going to open the floor up for this. Commissioner Tobias, old light or new light, sir?
Sorry, Madam Chair, that's the old light.
Okay. Commissioner Feltner, you got your light on, sir.
I nominate Commissioner Steele.
Oh, I think that'd be wonderful.
I'll second that.
Okay, I think that's wonderful as well. So let's make a motion and a second for Commissioner Steele to go. Would you accept that, sir?
Absolutely.
I better check that out. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now, Commissioners, if you have any concerns with this or you want to make any changes, this would be a good time with this conversation that we have. Do you want to make any additions, subtractions? We've tweaked these before in the past. And Commissioner Tobias, new light or old light?
New light this time.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a board report at the end, and part of that board report is going to be asking to amend this. I sent out a copy to the board. Would you rather
Oh,
me
with
address that now?
Sure, I
I'd be
think
more
we
than
all
willing
got
to
it.
do that.
Yeah.
Now? Okay.
So you're going to add that one in as well?
No,
which is
no,
good.
no. I would like to get I'd like to get board consent on that one before. So would you rather me bring that up now and
Nope,
see if?
yes, let's bring it up now. I think
Okay.
that's a no-brainer.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. Okay, this potential project was just brought to my attention by a constituent last week and a conversation I had with Chairman Randy Fine earlier today. I want to thank Mary Ellen Donner for her hard work and the information that she provided in just a few days. This project would include the purchase of approximately 2.5 acres of land in Micco, that's my district, or the district I currently represent, and development of a public boat ramp, parking lot, and bathrooms. This location would allow access to the Indian River and the ocean via Sebastian Inlet. Chairman Fine agreed to put this in as an ask for the legislature. This is, of course, conditional on the support of the board as a whole. The request of the legislature would be for approximately $1 million for the purchase of the land. Of course, it would be at market value, depending, and roughly another $2 million for the engineering, permitting, and construction of the boat ramp and amenities. Director Mary Ellen Donner estimated approximately $21,000 a year in county costs for the maintenance activities. I wanted to bring this to potential project before the board for any support prior to making any recommendations. So to be clear, the county's portion would be the maintenance costs of $21,000 plus a loss, I did this for Commissioner Feltner here, plus a loss of approximately $9,700 in ad valorem taxes and assessment revenue per year. Of course, we don't get all of that. So the motion would be to move to give Brevard support to Chairman Randy Fine to seek funding from the state of Florida with Brevard County as a requesting agency for the purchase, design, and construction of a boat ramp at 4100 Main Street, Micco, Florida, and to direct staff to add this to the 2024 county legislative priorities. I'd be more than willing to answer any questions, but again, our cost on this would be $21,000.
We've been trying for a while to kind of get that cleaned up, so good work. Commissioner Steele?
Thank you. Commissioner Tobias, is Randy going to handle it in the House, and then, do you know who's going to handle it in the Senate?
I think he was waiting for direction
approval, okay,
to see if we were interested. But
Great, so-
he was looking at this from an environmental perspective, that if there was a house, no sewer lines, that this
Right.
probably would be a better lagoon purchase, and he was willing, they only get a few dollars up there. He gets a
Right.
few more than normal being a chairman, but he was willing to put his name on this.
I'm betting he'll get it through.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Commissioner Feltner?
I think that might have answered one of my questions. So you think that's a member appropriation that he's going to do?
Yes.
Do you have a letter that the chair will sign tonight that will go like in his paperwork that he's got to send off, or? is
No,
that
but
gonna be
I would
subsequent?
be more than willing to amend the motion to give the chair the ability, or I would be more than willing to write it on behalf of the board, requesting us to be the requesting agency for the appropriation.
I'm only saying that to be helpful to him, so.
Yeah. So Commissioner Tobias, if you want to do a motion, then I would also put in there that to give you the authority to write the letter and sign it on behalf of the board. Is that good?
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, okay, then amend the motion, giving me authority to write the letter and submit it to Chairman Randy Fine on behalf of the board.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Question, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Goodson?
Thank you, ma'am. The $2 million for the construction, that would come 2 years from now, or come after the Army Corps Engineer permit, which takes 2 years? Which one?
Madam Chair? Yeah, it would all be at the discretion of the legislative expenditure. I don't know that this would be a one-year appropriation. I don't know that this would be a two-year appropriation, but I was very clear that all the permitting, the construction, and the development would have to come from the state. I certainly wouldn't want to encumber Brevard County any more than the maintenance cost on it. So I can't give you an answer on that. It would be dependent on the appropriation from the state.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Want to read the motion, serve the record?
You want me to read the motion again?
So moved, Madam Chairperson,
Okay, with the amendment?
with the amendment.
Okay, got a motion and a second. You guys have it? All right, you didn't want to read it a second time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0. Commissioners, we're about to have a conversation about what we're presenting, but before that, I have one comment card. Mr. Heffelfinger?
Uh-huh.
I said he'd be back.
I did manage to get a question written in an email to you, although it was this morning, but again, the time is pretty limited. I noticed on there something that raised my eyebrows. 524, looks like it's gonna get fixed to a 4-lane maybe. I wasn't sure what the county was asking for the, I think it's a right-of-way access on South Friday Road and Industry. And if that's the case, why did it make the priority list? Do you guys know something that we should know over there in Cocoa about what's gonna happen to that road? Other than we've got a lot of apartments. So I was just hoping you could, because all it said was you were looking for a right-of-way and on the south and South Friday. So if you could answer those, I'd appreciate it. And maybe I can just, you can send me an email with whatever, because there wasn't a lot of information in that little document. So that's all I had, thanks.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, do we have any comments, any additions, subtractions? Or we ready to send Mr. Steele with marching orders to go present?
Madam Chairperson, if the county manager would get me the list, I would appreciate it very much, so that I'll be able to make sure that I'm up to snuff.
Okay.
You said the items that are on the recommended legislative initiatives, yeah, we have that. And the one thing I was going to ask is whether the board wanted to, I'm familiar with, we're only going to have about 3 minutes if we're lucky to speak to the delegation. And so there's a lot of items on that list. There are several projects that I know board members have indicated are very important. If I could just indicate what those 3 or 4 is and make sure those are the priorities this board wants Commissioner Steele to bring forward. The first one deals with the advanced wastewater treatment plant, the regional plant that we're trying to work with the Department of Defense on for Port St. John area. That would be an important one. Ellis Road widening, that's a very important project in the county. A third one would be the muck dredging in the Merritt Island area. I know that's an important issue for Merritt Island. And then, of course, the boat ramp in Mico. Those would be four that, from a staff perspective, we will give to Commissioner Steele the information so that and we want to make sure that those are four of the ones the board wants to be prioritized to the delegation. And then if there's any others that the board would want to add or any you want to pull away from those four, we'd appreciate any input that you might have to offer. So we'll be ready to assist Commissioner Steele when he makes the presentation.
Thank you.
You good?
Think so.
Okay. Thank you for doing that job. You need to get with Commissioner Tabaya and find out about the appropriate attire to
I
wear.
have plenty of costumes you can borrow.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move to item I3.
Good evening, Commissioners. Item I3 is a recommendation coming from the TDC for 3 capital facilities grants, one for the U.S. Law Enforcement Foundation in the amount of $5 million. It would be $1 million a year for 5 years upon groundbreaking. The second is for $250,000 for Palm Bay Sacrifice Park. And the third is $349,213 for the Valiant Air Command Event Center.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, I do have a couple cards on this. Mr. Jeff Schwein with the Police Hall of Fame and Miss Juliet Missiani. Real quickly, I'm on that board, and this week when we had some conversations, we went ahead and tried to grant more money to Palm Bay. They had to give back a project very shortly that's going to refund $1.6 million. $7 million back that was approved, I think, like 6 years ago with a group of things that we were trying to put off. At that time, District 1 had to put back in a $7 million project too. COVID hit and all those things, so it just ended up not being a good project, spending all those kinds of funds. So that's just a little background on it. So we had a 7-0 vote from the TDC. That's how many of us were there? We had 1 or 2 missing. You're on the board, so I'm looking at you. But it was unanimous to go ahead and approve these items that we brought forward. Commissioners, what, you want me to call the cards first? You guys have any conversations? What would you like?
Call the cards.
Call the cards. All right.
That's Moscone, by the way. It's Juliet Moscone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Miss Juliet Moscone?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Juliet Moscone from the City of Palm Bay. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about our project, Sacrifice Park. Sacrifice Park was born from a tragedy that most longtime residents of Brevard County remember. April 23rd, 1987, in what may have been one of the earliest mass shootings in our state, a lone gunman came into 2 Palm Bay plazas, killed 2 of our officers, Officers Johnson and Grogan, and 4 civilians. And out of that came the need for a memorial. So what I have for you all is a rough map of where Sacrifice Park sits right now. It started with a partnership from the beginning, because as you can see, it crosses the Franklin T. DeGroot Memorial Library, your parcel, and the City of Palm Bay City Hall. I also have a purple call out that shows the current memorial, and it's a pyramid structure. And what I really want to note on there is this is a county-wide park. We don't recognize just the ultimate sacrifice of Palm Bay officers, but any first responder who died in the line of duty is recognized on this memorial. We have 8 different agencies represented right now. Now, there's a lot of information on this slide, but what I want you to come away with is to know that the City of Palm Bay is ready. We have $261,000. We're at over 100% match for this project. We have state appropriation funds, and we have over $100,000 from private donations. We have architectural designs almost complete, structural and engineering is in process, and we believe we can deliver this project in 2024. If we receive the grant funds from you all this evening, we can perform everything that I'm going to show you in the conceptuals. So that includes a 3-sided obelisk that represents fire, police, and EMT. It has a thin blue light feature. There's a flagpole and there's a wall with the Pledge of Allegiance engraved into the wall. And then we also have engravable donor pavers to fund ongoing maintenance. So this would actually be the view from the Franklin T. DeGroot Memorial Library. You can see the thin blue light feature coming from the flagpole up the obelisk. And this is an aerial, but what's not shown on this aerial is the remaining green space, which we plan to use for special events using our existing mobile stage, tents, tables, chairs, and we might even be able to bring in like a mobile amphitheater for larger events. We already have 2 events in the city that we plan to move to Sacrifice Park once the construction is complete. One of them is our Patriots Day ceremony. We already have over 200 people attend that event. They do come from out of county, many of them, and they do stay overnight in one of our 5 hotels. We also have our Veterans Day Parade, which right now starts in front of City Hall, but we could easily move it to start in front of Sacrifice Park. And then our law enforcement personnel have other events that generate out-of-county tourism and people who stay overnight. One of them is the Law Enforcement Memorial Bicycle Tour, and the other one is the Tour de Force. And I realize I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to just hop ahead and talk about our range facility, which is 3.9 miles away, 10 minutes away. We already have multi-day overnight training exercises, and we hope to continue to utilize Sacrifice Park for additional events. We have ample parking. We have outdoor restrooms. We have multiple access points. We're your largest municipality at over 132,000 residents, and we have not had a capital facilities grant since 2017.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioners, you have any questions? Commissioner Steele?
Would you consider changing the name to the Grogan Johnson Sacrifice Park?
It's an interesting perspective and certainly one I'd be glad to bring back to our city council.
They absolutely deserve it. That was one of the most horrific days, and I could just about cry right now over it. I think everybody in Brevard County was paralyzed by that. It's a horrific thing, and so many people, so many law enforcement officers get to go down there and train so things like that would not happen again. So I'm ready to make a motion, Madam Chairperson, if you don't mind.
We
Or
have,
do you have some other people?
Oh, yeah.
I have
Yeah.
3.
Be patient.
I have,
I'm not a doctor, I don't need to be patient.
My God.
we have 3 items, but thank you, ma'am. That was a good presentation. Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Tobias, you have your light on, sir.
No, I did, yes. I just,
Change your mind?
Did you?
Okay.
as long as there's not a motion.
No, no motion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, I have Mr. Jeff Strine. You're going to tell me how to say that again. I know you are.
Yes.
That. It should be a different vowel in there. Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. My card is really to answer questions only. I didn't come to make another presentation, but I did pass out. I had passed out ahead of time our case for support. If you wanted to read some additional information about the project, it's a national project. It's a good project for law enforcement, and we hope to have your support. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I've been blessed to get to sit through the presentation a few times, and the structures that's being built there to help facilitate all this. I've been to a couple of the falling officer events, and I'm always amazed because it's outside on the chairs. There's over 2,000 people that show up, and they all come in and fill up our hotels. And the facility also collects nationwide gifts to give to all of their children at Christmas, and it's quite a facility. And the ability to grow this, because this is not just going to be the state, this is a national
That's right.
police hall of fame by
Yeah.
the time we're done with all the things. And I love this project. I even said in the TDC I would even support this if it wasn't in my district. I think it's just that good, and I'm very I'm just thankful for it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Jeff?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I got some.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, somebody said 900,000 people go to the NASA Space Center. Would you say that's over a year? Would that be a fair number?
900,000?
Yeah.
I think it's low from
Think
what
that's
we've heard.
low?
Yeah.
Then somebody also said that 30,000 go to your place in a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Currently. How many of the 30,000 go back and forth every week to the gun range?
Geez. I don't know.
Do you count them as they come in the door? Is that the count?
Yeah.
So being the only gun range in North Titusville, they could go a lot, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, also, you put out some numbers that you're projecting 250,000 people a year after this is done, is that correct?
To the new immersive experience, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world. I'm all for it, so
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Commissioners?
Now, are we going to talk about anything else, Commissioner?
We have one more.
Thank you, sir.
you.
Oh, yes, we have one more item. It was the item for the Valiant Air Command. Commissioners, do you have any comments on that? We've supported them in the past. We like the project with the other group that we had here. They came asking for more funds, and I think the TDC board agreed to give them the amount of the first TDC recommendation. Oops. So I don't believe they're here tonight either. I don't have a card with them. I'm just giving you an overview when I was there. Commissioner Tobias, your light's on, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just a request that we can vote on these individually instead of collectively.
Okay. Is that good?
No, Madam Chair, that's not good.
Okay, I got one no.
I'm for voting for them individually.
Mr. Feltner's individual.
Individual.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Please, Commissioner Gibson.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I'm supporting these two. Palm Bay has some other issues that need to be answered.
Which two, sir? I'm sorry, help me.
I'm supporting the Valiant Air Command and the
Okay.
Police Hall of Fame. Of course, I supported the funding of the Cultural Grant Program and the Brevard Cultural Alliance. I think these programs are just as deserving as the Police Hall of Fame and the Valiant Air Command. I want to see all good things happen, Madam Chair, but I cannot support these capital projects with the expense of cultural items being cut. So I move that the County Commission Board fund the Police Hall of Fame capital project for $5 million for 5 years at $1 million a year. Fund the Valiant Air Command at $349,213. Fully fund BCA for the year amount of $212,160 that the TDC recommended in August, not just the 3-month exit deal we approved last month. Fully fund the cultural support grant programs this year for $530,000 that the TDC recommended. That is my motion, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Goodson, that's a lot to digest in just one moment. Do you by any chance have that printed out so we can see them?
I do.
Do you have enough for all of us?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, as much
To
as
it,
we
I'm gonna-
interject and digest
I'm going to call
up
about
here.
a 5-minute break so we can get that and look at it. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to call us adjourned till 5 minutes till 6.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody's back, and it looks like we're ready to move forward. Commissioner Goodson, I asked the county manager a couple questions. If that would affect the lifeguard situation, he said it would not because they haven't moved those funds yet. So that's good, because I was trying to figure out where to get the money if we did this.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. I want to hear from Commissioner Steele about the other project because it's in his district. And when you guys have items that are specifically in your district, I like to hear those, please. But one other thing, sir, I'm going to request, I don't mind funding the BCA this year, but I would like to do it at the original amount and not the raise amount of 202 instead of 212.
202, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay?
202,000, correct?
202,000, yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
That's acceptable.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Steele, sir?
Well, Madam Chairperson, this puts me in between a rock and a very hard place, but I guess that's what the cost of being a county commissioner is. I can tell you that Palm Bay has gotten the short end of the stick for a long period of time, and I can also tell you that we absolutely need that training down in the south end of the county. We need the law enforcement officers that go down there. I've gone down with law enforcement officers and shot many, many times, and the expansion of that range is very, very important to me, and it's very, very important to the city. And to me, Officer Grogan and Officer Johnson are saints, along with all the other police officers that have lost their lives. So, Commissioner Goodson, I could go along with your wish today if you eliminated the Valiant Air Command capital project at 349 and you included back in the Palm Bay project.
We could do both.
I'm confused with what you're saying.
We could still do the Valiant Air and still do the Palm Bay one. They're on the TDC. I think what I would like to do is do the TDC's original recommendation for the three projects, Palm Bay, Valiant Air, and the Police Hall of Fame.
So my question then would be, if we do that, then are we still going to fund the BCA and the
Yes.
cultural grants?
We can. I was gonna, just another thought, we had some ideas going in, how we were doing the large grants in the marketing section, but that's gonna move over to the cultural now. County manager, would we have any issues of trying to find those extra funds, sir?
There would be no issues, Commissioner.
That's what I.
Well, I would be like the happiest man on earth then.
Okay, and the reason why I again, you're like those questions as well. And I know y'all are getting tired of hearing it, but I really believe in the equity situation of trying to get it out countywide as much as we can in Palm Bay. And actually, Commissioner Tobias, your district's very low on funding as well. And North Brevard as well, which is going to bring North Brevard right up to the competitive level now. So I think if we move it from the capital projects to build solid projects that are going to increase tourism, I think it's a good idea. And then that way I can understand moving some of the marketing around to be heavily more concentrated in those districts right now that are collecting more of the funds. So I like that equity solution here in my head. It helps me out tremendously when we start looking to change in the marketing funds.
Could I ask one quick question?
Please, sir.
So the amended motion would be that all three capital projects would be funded. In addition to that, fully fund the BCA this year for $202,160, and fully fund the cultural support grant program this year in the amount of $530 that the TDC recommended at the August 8th meeting. Is that correct?
Commissioner Goodson, are you good with that?
That is my understanding, but may I resort to my famously known attorney? And is that correct by this right here?
Yes, may I just add that any motion of the board, if you can also make the appropriate legislative findings from both this agenda report and the prior from the cultural and BCA grants as part of the motion.
So my understanding is we have the City of Palm Bay for $250. We have the Police Hall of Fame for 5 years at $1 million a year. We have the Valiant Air Command at $349,213. The full funded BCA is $202,000. and then the fully funded support grant program at 530. That is my motion, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I would second that motion, Madam Chairperson.
I'm going to have Commissioner Tobias jump in here real quick before we.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I hate to be the voice of reason here, but I've got to be a little bit of it. And
I knew it was coming, sir. I know you very well, and I know what you can and
I didn't
can't
want to.
do.
I didn't see any of this stuff coming, and that's why I wanted to
I
tackle these individually. And apparently, so did Commissioner Goodson on all this stuff. In fact, he wanted to tackle them collectively and throw in other stuff. So let's.
This actually reminds me of the Commissioner Tobias thing here.
No. Commissioner Tobias takes money out. Tobias doesn't throw money. I mean, we'll get to. I just want to start. I just want to start individually here with some legal problems that we may run into with this stuff. And I'll start with the City of Palm Bay capital grants. I spoke with Deputy Mayor Kenny Johnson, or former Deputy Mayor, current council, you always retain the high one, City Manager Susan Sherman, and Mayor Rob Medina. I informed them that question 8 in the application reads, quote, please attach a third-party economic and fiscal analysis from a reputable firm that includes 1, impact on local activities, 2, project demographics, 3, room nights, 4, tax revenue to include tourist development tax, property tax, and sales tax, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, attendance visitation for the next 5 years after completion, including a percentage of in and out of county visitor attendees, 6 or 7, wages, and finally, new and additional paid for full-time employees. This is a requirement for the application outlined on page 4 of the Brevard County Capital Facilities Grant Program Guidelines. Now, the city attached an economic study that did not satisfy any of these requirements. In fact, the economic impact study that they put on there did not even mention the word sacrifice once. Brevard County Code Section 102.119, Section 3C1 states that to qualify for the tourist tax collection funding, the project must fully fall under a specified category. Those are convention centers, sports stadiums, sports arenas, coliseums, auditoriums, museums, zoological parks, aquariums, fishing piers, or nature centers. The City of Palm Bay, in their own application, selected that their project is, quote, none of the above. So my question, I didn't want to have to do this, my question for the county attorney is, do you believe this project falls under one of the categories outlined in Brevard County Code Section 102.119, Section 3C1?
Without more information and given what the applicant indicated, it would not seem to do that.
Okay. Follow-up, do you believe it is the burden of the City of Palm Bay to provide a third-party economic and fiscal analysis specific to the project which confirms its eligibility to be able to approve this grant?
That's a requirement of the grant funding, and there is another provision of both our budget plan and statute that might allow a public project like this, but it would certainly require that independent financial analysis.
Okay, so that's not from me, that's from our county attorney, to be very clear. And I'm not trying to sink this project. I'm certainly not trying to sink this project. In fact, quite the opposite. The reason I wanted to handle these individually is I just uniformly vote no on this stuff because it's garbage. And it actually became even more garbage just piled up. But I think there's some merit to some of these, but I'd like to see it go through the correct process, and it clearly hasn't. So the commitment I gave, and you can overrun me on this one, but there may be some legal issues, to Deputy Mayor Kenny Johnson, the city manager who got with me really quickly, Susan Sherman, and Mayor Rob Medina, was that I'd move to continue the City of Palm Bay Sacrifice Park Capital Facilities Grant application for 6 months or until sufficient documentation as outlined by Brevard County Capital Facilities Grant Program Guidelines Section 5.0 to include a third-party economic and fiscal analysis specific to the project's and confirmation of eligibility is provided by the City of Palm Bay, whichever comes first, and then direct staff to bring the item back to the board at that time. During this period, that requested $250,000 shall not be allocated to another project. I'm afraid, though, we may allocate it to something tonight if someone's got another project, but my intent was to hold it until we have that documentation.
Commissioner Tobias, I don't think that's unfair. Just, it got approved by the TDC, so I was assuming that all of those markers lined up the first time through for the percentage. But what if we go ahead and we do that, sir? But what if we did 6 months or less? If they get that data, they can bring it back in 6 months or less, and we hold that money.
Yeah,
So
that's what my motion was,
Okay.
was that we hold that and try. I'm not saying I'll vote for it.
Right.
But I don't want you guys to go out on a limb, vote for something, and we find out this has nothing to do with tourism.
I think we're going to find it is,
Well, an independent, I mean.
but since you just named those 6 items and it didn't fall into it, but the TDC advisory committee did find it and mark it. So I hear you on that. So commissioners, what's your thought on that? You want to just put a little breath on this till we get all the data to be sure, and then come back? I'm going to support it. And I know Commissioner Tobias won't support it then either, but if he's caught something he has a concern with.
Well, I think the shooting range could certainly fall underneath a sporting event.
Okay.
Shooting is a sport, it's recognized in the Olympics as a sport, so I think it could fall into that very easily.
Okay. County Attorney, would a sporting event fall under the capital grant projects?
Sports stadiums or sports arenas would.
Okay. So what if, Commissioner Still, what if we bring this back in a meeting with that information?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I would like to get it passed tonight, but I don't want it to be bogged down, and I think Commissioner Tobias has a very valid point. So I don't want to get back into a big mess and then have some sort of lawsuit filed over it. So
Yeah, and
if in fact we can get it back faster than that, then we'll get it back faster, but you need to get that economic stuff done.
Okay. Mr. Kranis, was there one that was turned in as the project from Palm Bay? Was there a criteria it fit under? They checked none of the above. So what was it that made them eligible to go ahead and go through the process?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's up really to the CAO to weigh in on that, but I think, under a park, it could have possibly fallen under that category. Also, I think the sports arena idea, I think it could fall under there, but,
Okay.
Again, I'm not the legal expert on that.
County Attorney, if it went through because it is called a park, is the park eligible for those funds?
Not under this specific grant and this provision, zoological parks, but this is funded under the capital fund of the first 2 pennies, which is an up to 35%. There are ways to get creative and maybe move that, say, to the other part that's about promotion and advertising of tourism. There are things that can be done. It's obviously a good project that the board supports.
Yeah.
So there are ways that get there, even if it doesn't necessarily fall into one of these categories for this particular grant program.
So would it be good to do due diligence and then find another category that we'd be able to give them the funds with I think it's a good project, so.
That is probably the
Very
best
possible.
option.
Okay,
It's the safest one.
And
yeah.
I think we'd all.
And I'll certainly work with them and with tourism to help get it back to the board in a form you can consider it.
Okay, Commissioner
if that's the board's
Tobias, I'm
wish.
going to let you finish before I go back to Goodson for an amendment, so.
Okay. I just have, I'm seeing this. This is quite a large change with quite a bit of money. So I'm just going to jump to question 3. Fully fund the BCA for the amount of $212 or whatever, $202,000 either way. Do we have a contract? Or are we just going to hand them $202,000? I'm uncomfortable voting for $202,000 without a contract.
I agree.
Secondly, we have a contract with them for 3 months. This doesn't do away with the current contract that we have right now. So in other words, they'd be getting a 3-month contract on top of a 12-month contract. I think this was probably well intended, but extremely poorly written, with very little thought. So, that's a question. How would that be handled? What would and what would the contract
Can I
look
jump
like?
in a second?
Sure.
Mr. Abate, would we be able to take the 3 months it's there and then prorate this for 3/4 of it to fulfill the 1 year?
Yeah, that's my understanding. And it would be built on the framework of the prior contract, which was an annual contract, which was for the amount of $202,000. So we would look that as a framework. There were some adjustments, but now that would have been made because of the cultural grant program. But if the board puts that back in, then it would be very similar to that prior contract. And as I read this, it's saying that it's a full amount would be for this year. So full amount would be the 3 months subtracted from the 212 because it's already there, and that would be the amount. The 212 just represents the full year, the full 12-month period.
Okay, that's what I would assume too. County Attorney, you would make sure that that was worded correctly?
Yes, I would get that correct, and that's how I understood the motion, that it would be to deduct the 3 months that was awarded. The 202 is the total year amount. It's not
Okay.
202 plus.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir, go ahead. Good questions.
That would make sense if the 3-month contract, the provisions in the 3-month contract mirrored the provisions in the 12-month contract, but they don't. In fact, I still haven't even seen the 3-month contract.
Have we done the 3-month contract yet?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check on where that's at. I believe so, but
Has the
I
board
don't
been
know that
furnished,
that's-
had
I
the
don't know
board
that
been
that's come
furnished with
back.
a copy of the 3-month contract?
No, I think we laid down a little bit of guidelines.
Yeah, I believe the contract has been signed, but I would have to check. I don't have a copy in front of me, so I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it has been.
I think what, Commissioner Tobias, good questions. I think what I would like is for them to agree to cancel that contract and get the full contract of what we'd expect their scope of work to be. And so I think if we do this, maybe make it the end of the month that the 3-month contract is void, and then we start into the new one to finish out the full year so that they're going back to looking at projects, because we cut that out of their contract.
So let me get this straight. We would be voting to expend the money before we were agreeing to the terms in the contract? That doesn't put us in very good negotiating position.
Right. I think we probably, is what Mr. Goodson's asking, to go back to the contract they were in last year, correct?
I don't think that's such a big deal, Commissioner. You can hold the money till they sign the contract, or until you approve it. I knew that, that you would not be happy with this. So how much do you want to see of the contract? You just want to see the contract and then or do you want our attorney to view it and then you look at it?
I just like to see what the taxpayers are getting in return
I
for the
understand that.
$202,000. That's what I'm looking for, Madam Chair.
Well, then I think that we can trust our attorney and our county manager to get the contract to you.
I think no less than the contract they were in previously, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna go on I'm gonna pass for time on the Valiant Air Command, but I was honestly gonna be a silent no on the on the Police Hall of Fame, but I know how you are for tying some sort of. I saw it with the Weston project. We tied the grant, or the people that voted for it tied the grant to the additional funds. So my question is, if we're going to do this, can we tie that $1 million to the study that we got here about either the attendance or the room nights created, the same way that we did it for the Weston, or the majority of the board did it for the Weston?
I would rather not, because this is more of a public purpose. It's going to be for law enforcement and military. So I think it's got a little bit of a flavor than an area that's for profit, making a lot of money. I think this is more of a service for the area.
But isn't this tourism dollars?
Yes, I don't doubt they're going to be bringing people from all over the nation. I see it already when we have the events and when the facility's in and it's noted for that purpose. I think y'all are busy working on acquiring a lot of funds. The overall project, would you mind coming up, sir? I think the overall project is a lot of money, and you have a lot of money coming in from all of the law enforcement and all
Yeah,
of
we are a national organization. We fund ourselves with national donations. We're a nonprofit. We fund our programs all across the country. And this particular project is very important to us because it allows us to take advantage of this particular geography where we sit. We've been told 3 million people passed by us this year on their way out the bridge to Kennedy Space Center. That's the number we've heard from Delaware North, who's helped us with these numbers. They've given us the third parties that we've used to corroborate the numbers, and we're matching against real world-class experiences like the International Spy Museum. There are organizations that attract lots of tourism to these types of immersive experiences. So in addition to, I would say, the traditional tourism that you might be thinking about, we also have 4 million people that are family members, current family members across the country of law enforcement. 4,000 agencies, federal, state, local agencies, that come and will come more and more to our campus for training and education. And they will stay multiple nights. They do now. The events that we hold for law enforcement, they come and they fill the hotels that surround us. So we see this as something that we can scale. We've been told the numbers are the right numbers, whether people believe us or not. We've used third parties. We're matching ourselves against world-class operations and operators. And we think the plan is pretty credible.
Thank you, sir. I think in that, yes, sir. I think in that area too, I think we have more hotels going in that area than any other part of the county right now. My husband and I were remarking on that the other day. Part of that's from U-Trip as well, because they're close on the interstate to fill up those hotel rooms. But yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, you were Mr. Strine?
Strine,
I apologize.
That's right.
I didn't catch your affiliation. Are you one of the board members or anything?
I'm the Chief Development Officer, or Chief Advancement Officer.
So my question is, do you believe, I'm looking at page 11 of a economic and fiscal impact analysis that has a total of
3,000 room nights.
Yes, 153,885, 246,425 by 2025. Do you think that number is achievable?
That's our plan.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Sorry to do this. Mr. Kranis, my understanding is USSSA does about 95,000 room nights?
Somewhere in that range, yes, sir.
Yeah. What is the likelihood that 153,885 room nights per year is achieved by, as I have on page 9 here, by the year 2025?
I mean, that's a hard thing to say. It's a prediction in the future. I don't know that I could make that prediction.
That's your job, isn't it? You do predictions, right? Or you hire people to do predictions, right? Because you certainly...
I don't think you can give an off-the-cuff guess on that, to be honest with you, Commissioner.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm going to, for 18 reasons, I'm going to be against all of this. But let me tell you why the most important reason everyone should be against this, whether you emotionally love this stuff or not. We're up here for a period of time, and that period of time comes to a conclusion through election or terming out, and things can no, Tom, you'll be around a long time. Yeah. If the board can easily overturn, hell, we're overturning stuff that we literally just passed 2 weeks ago. I would be leery to have the $1 million per 5 years if we can't keep our word on something for 2 weeks. So I can't find one good reason to support any of this stuff, but I don't think that anyone should be supporting this stuff. This is a full turnaround of the way the board had unanimously voted on a couple of occasions. The documentation isn't here. The numbers are, I don't know, sophomorically put together at best. And the fact that the organization isn't willing to tie the grant to the numbers is probably a pretty good indication that they don't even believe the numbers. But that being said, I appreciate all the work that was done on this, and motion's going to win on this one, and that's absolutely okay, and I appreciate you giving me my 5 minutes to vent on this, but I'm going to have to be down. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Tobias, I always know where you're going to land.
I didn't
Well,
know this
you're,
was coming.
you know what, you're always honest. You never lie about things, and I got to tell you, I really appreciate and respect that in you tremendously. So, yeah. Commissioner Goodson, I think what we need to do, if you're okay, is just go ahead and approve what you have with the caveat that we bring back the Palm Bay project with an outline of how to approve it. Right,
Madam
sir?
Chair, can the attorney read the motion again so everybody understands?
Okay.
Okay.
You're on.
If you'd like me to, absolutely. So as I understand it, it's to fund the Police Hall of Fame capital project for $5 million over 5 years at $1 million per year as recommended. Fund the Valiant Air Command capital project at $349,213 as recommended. Fund the BCA for the year in the amount of $202,000 that the TDC recommended on August 8th. And there would be a contract with that so that their responsibilities would extend over the year. To fund the cultural support grant program in the amount of $530,000 that the TDC recommended on August 8th. To make the appropriate legislative findings based on those agenda reports, and for the City of Palm Bay to return within 6 months with financial analysis and eligibility information or to otherwise establish the eligibility to receive funding for the project.
Okay, I have a motion.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
With the $250,000 to be left in the TDC funds not to be spent.
Yes.
That's fine, yeah.
That can be part of the motion.
And it could be 6 months or less. If they resolve that, they can bring it back in
The
a month.
money's there.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passes 3-2 with Commissioners Tobias and Feltner an objection. All right. We're moving into item I2.
So item I2, Madam Chair, is the recommendation coming from the TDC regarding the marketing event grant program that they were asked by this board to look at and develop guidelines and application. They did do that and have now provided guidelines and an application for your review.
Thank you. I have no lights on this right now. I do want to start out saying you guys did so much work on this. There's been a lot of activity and conversations about what to do with the marketing funds. I was going to be a real stinker and just put my foot down about so much going into District 2, but I decided to leave it alone. It seems like a good thing especially since we just kind of evened out some of the capital. So you have my support on this, sir. Commissioners, I have Commissioner Tobias.
I think this just got flushed down the toilet. This combined a whole bunch of stuff and used, I don't know, conservative philosophy to market stuff instead of hand it out for administration. This got rid of 2 committees, required less staff time. There was so much good stuff in here, but we just
Commissioner
threw a
Tobias,
hand grenade in it. So
you're
my
right.
question-
I just jumped to the wrong number, so, yeah. I was looking at the wrong one. You should have told me, boy, you just missed that one, but gotcha.
Yeah, can I have a second of personal privilege here?
Oh, please, sir, because I just realized I totally had my head in another item, so
Okay.
I'm with you.
I know it given Mr. Kranis a hard time for not reviewing the submissions. I wish that Palm Bay would have gotten the feedback that their economic study was not appropriate. So I was not very kind to staff on that one. So I want to take a second to say that Mr. Kranis, as well as the leadership above him, did an extremely good job on the marketing event grant.
They did.
I did some talking points here. I laid out some decision points, and they were very sophomoric at best, and it turned into an 18-page document that was well-written, and a fabulous job was done on it. I appreciate the hard work. Again, it's useless at this point, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank you for your time and your effort that went into putting that together. So
You're right, Commissioner Tobias. They really listened to us and put together a good parameter of what we requested. So this does go away now because we're going to open back at, go into the cultural. Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're just going to let this go away, yeah? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Item I1.
So item I1, Commissioners, is the recommendation coming from the TDC and approval of the Tourist Development Office's proposed fiscal year 23-24 marketing and media plan in the amount of $15,343,555, as well as disaster funds in the amount of $1,313,687.
Okay, and this was what my last conversation was about when I opened up, so whoops. All right, Commissioners, Commissioner Tobias, is that an old light or new light, sir?
it's an old light, Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioners, any conversations? You want to make a motion? You want to talk about it?
Are we off all of the motions now? Because I do have a question.
Please, we're wide open.
All right, so we're funding the entire amount on the cultural grants. The Gay Pride Parade has already taken place, so what are we going to do about that? Are we just going to fund them the money?
Next year.
This is for next year, Commissioner.
Next year? Thank you very much.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is the marketing outline, correct, on what you outlined of how to do our marketing with the marketing funds themselves, correct?
Yes.
Right, this is the marketing plan for fiscal year 23, 24. There are provisions, as a matter of fact, it is a much more limited in terms of the ability of the tourism director. He's going to have to negotiate and execute contracts and go through the normal marketing and procurement processes that we have in place in the county. In the past, you'll recall, in prior years, that marketing, he was given the sole discretion to do that. We're going to go through the normal process as we select this. So we've narrowed the scope down of what we're doing, and we spent considerable time in trying to put this package together so that for the board's consideration this evening.
Okay, and I think you did a great job. You put a lot of work into it, and yeah, I appreciate it so much. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? And it is giving Cocoa Beach a lot of extra marketing dollars too, so everybody should be happy there.
Oh, I'm not so sure you could get Bob Bucker ever happy, but that's okay.
Okay, Commissioners, a motion. Commissioner Feltner?
Motion for approval, Madam Chair.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Goodson.
I was going to say, I think the Cocoa Beach Hotel Association ultimately will be a little more satisfied with this product. With that, I'll make a second.
And I'm caving. All right. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kranis, thank you for all your work.
Thank you so
You've
much.
got a tough job. All right, we are moving into board reports. County Manager.
I have one item. Commissioner, we
Yeah.
have the East Florida Regional.
Oh, I had a card on that last one. Miss Janice Scott, are you here? I'm sorry. Come on up, ma'am.
Well, I was leaving because I didn't hear the word lifeguard, and
Lifeguards are
I
good.
wanted to comment on one of the hot topics around Cocoa Beach. community geographically, 3.9 square miles, 12,000 residents. And we voted for Commissioner Goodson. I made sure that everybody went out and voted for Commissioner Goodson. So I was hoping that we would get some support here about paying for these lifeguards, unanimous support. Mr. Kranis has already kind of gone to the back of the room or somewhere, but in September, the TDT tax was $24.1 million. They say that they collect 37% of that money in Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach. So why is anybody wanting to say that 4 out of the 6 locations are in Cocoa Beach? Maybe you all don't realize that Lori Wilson Park, which is quite a large beachfront park, and Mirsky Park, that Cocoa Beach provides security, 24-hour security, safety, police, and fire. Now, if it weren't for being clogged, and I say that very nicely and positively, with tourists every day, and even more so on weekends, we would probably only need 1/3 less police and fire than we have to help protect the public that come there, the day trippers, the people that come for the weekends and everything. And I'm a beach goer. This is my 51st year in Cocoa Beach. So I want to please ask you, you're going to fund lifeguards? It really makes better sense to do a seamless service down the coast. Thank you.
Mess the whole night up, sir, if you would.
Thank you, Commissioner. The East Florida Regional Planning Council has a meeting scheduled for November 15th in Silver Springs. The board does not have a representative yet who is going to be able to go to that meeting. I don't know if you wanted to address that this evening to see if you wanted to send someone or not.
Thank you, sir. I know the member on there couldn't go, or the alternate. I teach school that day, so I was kind of hoping. Would you be willing to go?
I cannot make a commitment to go to that until I talk to my wife.
Okay, so should we just come back next meeting? Because I think Commissioner Tobias, you teach as well, correct?
On Wednesdays, I do.
Yeah, so we both have a
It's in Ocala.
bunch of students we gotta.
Stay overnight, you can stay in the county of the bill.
No, thank you.
Yeah, we don't do that, but.
Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, so Commissioner Still, if you would get back, otherwise I guess they're just gonna have to do something different with a board,
It's in
so.
Ocala.
It's in Ocala? Yeah.
Silver Springs.
Okay.
That's Ocala, I guess, isn't it?
Is that all you have, sir?
That's it, Commissioner.
Okay, County Attorney,
No report, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Goodson?
No report, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Feltner,
I have no report.
Commissioner Steele,
No report.
and I have no report, and I'm going to turn this over to the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got before I get into this stuff, I got a request for an employee recognition in December, and we'll talk about that later, but the thought was, my staff mentioned that I might not be Vice Chair at that point, and I said, I certainly hope that Vice Chair is a position that never goes away, so I certainly don't want to give this.
Are you looking for a nomination?
You know, I'd like it in perpetuity.
I'm not sure what you're doing, Chair.
No. So that's a great thing. When you're Vice Chair, you're neither Vice Chair nor Chairman, but just food for thought. So I want to start on National Day. I did not pick this one out, but today is World Plant-Based Burger Day. I do not support this, but yet there you have it. The useless Florida fact: the world's first scheduled passenger flight occurred in Florida. It happened on January 1st, 1914, and flew from St. Petersburg to Tampa. The 18-mile flight, which was 11 hours quicker than traveling between the two cities by train, safely transported 1,200 passengers across the bay in a Benoist Model 14 aircraft with 75 horsepower engine. So useless Florida fact. This day in Florida history: on October 10th, 1865, the Constitutional Convention met in Tallahassee to nullify the Ordinance of Secession of 1861 and adopt a new constitution for the state of Florida. The new constitution went into effect November 7th, 1865, without being submitted to the people for ratification. The Constitution of 1865 was never fully effective. Federal military forces remained in command of the state until 1868, when a new constitution was written. I think we're on our 5th or 6th constitution for useless information. And finally, and most importantly, county employee recognition. Tom Horton, Facilities North Supervisor, Public Works. 7 years of total service, 2 years as a supervisor, started from the very bottom as a GRT, not sure what that means, and worked his way up to North Shop Supervisor. Tom is a native Floridian, grew up in Orlando, Florida. Tom worked for Home Depot for 11 years in the city of Cocoa before coming to Brevard County. Tom is also a U.S. Army veteran with 6 years service as a roto wing chief, crew chief on the UH-1 Iroquois helicopter, better known as Huey or Slick. Tom was deployed at one point as a peacekeeper to Cairo, Egypt. While there, he was able to tour some of the local historical sites, like the Great Sphinx. Fun fact, Tom enjoys saltwater fishing, but when he's not fishing, he's also an avid stained glass craftsman. He has made everything from windows to Tiffany-style lamps. Tom, thank you for all you do. Thank you for your dedicated service, not only to our country, but to Brevard County as well. That is awesome. With that, Madam Chair, I've got the cards to go over. We'll start with Mark Strutcher, overall maintenance. Struder, overall maintenance of Beauty and of Merritt Island. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I moved to Merritt Island in 1970. If we all recall back in the good old days, it used to be called Merritt Island the Beautiful. But I don't know if any of you all been around Merritt Island and lately. Merritt Island is far from beautiful anymore. The overall road maintenance is below standards. Just driving over here today through Vieira, seeing how the roads are maintained, mowed, edged, manicured, and everything. If you drive around Merritt Island, you won't see that. Our causeways are overgrown. At one point, you could drive all over Merritt Island and see water. Today, the only time you see water if you're on a bridge. I live right off of North Banana River Drive. They came up and this week, they mowed. And if you went down and saw the quality of the mowing job they did, you would not pay these people. I mean, you'd have to come and see it to see what Merritt Island looks like. Matter of fact, they just put that new sidewalk in on Sice Creek Parkway. They mowed the grass. They didn't even blow it off the sidewalk. Sice Creek Bridge has not been mowed in years. Come and look, drive around Merritt Island, call me, ride around, we'll ride around again, I can show you what Merritt Island looks like. It is not attractive anymore. It's depressing to drive around Merritt Island. Buildings torn down, rubble still there. Buildings started, they stopped the completion on them. The buildings are still there. It's just very, very unattractive, and nobody wants to take a look. And every time, this is the first time I've been here, but you hear so much about Palm Bay, Titusville, Melbourne. I haven't heard one thing about Merritt Island. So I think Merritt Island is the unwanted stepchild of Brevard County. That's my view.
Sir.
Thank you.
Just so you know, usually we spend a lot of time talking about Merritt Island. You guys show up in droves, but thank you.
So anyway, thank you.
Sorry, Commissioner Tobias.
Thanks. Next, Mr. Charles Tovey. After Mr. Tovey will be Melanie Weber.
Thank you. Charles Tovey, 2555 Roberts Road, Melbourne. I refrained when Commissioner Smith was on board because he lives right down the street from the mayor, and I have enough problems. I didn't want to, it was a truce, and I got to finish saving the lagoon and helping out my parents. Microplastics. And maybe we could tie it in with the lifeguard thing and the riptide, and this is what I was relating to, but I only got 3 minutes. And they have robots that do cleaning of the microplastic on the beach, and the lifeguards can just monitor while they're saving people's lives every minute. What I got to say is about public speaking. Never had a problem. I did elementary schools, prison ministry, churches, detox, NA, all kinds of mentorship and things. Never had a problem. It wasn't until I went to Palm Shores and spoke about the environment, and any government building that I seem to go to, they no trespass me, or they play with the public comment, because as repeat officials, they learn these tools how to mess with the public and get what they want out of things. But I relate it to, and cut my brake lines, my steering wheel on my car come off, try and burn me out of my house, shoot at me, beat on me, and that's okay. But that's the same thing they did to Jesus. Public speaking. They ran him out of the synagogues, the churches, everywhere, and they no trespass me out of Palm Shore. Same with Jesus. He had to go up on a mountain to preach, and way out in the middle of the Sea of Galilee so he could speak in peace without intervention, because the Pharisees, Sadducees, and publicans wanted to kill him for public speaking. Thank you.
Next is Melanie Weber. After Melanie Weber, it is Richard Heffelfinger.
Hi, thank you so much for your time. It seems a little silly to be here speaking when we have a new war starting overseas, but I can't stop that. But I am here today to speak to you because I can do that. I'm here with Space Coast Bunnies Rescue, and we're here because we need your help. We see numerous rabbits dumped daily, and there's many reasons why that happens. We can't change some of those reasons, nor do we have the power to. We can't prevent people from impulse buying. We can't stop parents from saying yes to get a bunny for their child. We can't force a child to not lose interest. We can't convince adults to provide care and prevent them from putting an unwanted rabbit outside because they don't have time or they think they'll just be fine. We can't prevent people from having financial hardships where they have to make hard choices. We can't prevent people from having changes in their daily lives, whether it's being deployed for military duty or becoming homeless or escaping domestic abuse. There are a few things that we can do to help the issue of bunnies being abandoned. Option 1, I won't discuss because euthanasia should not be an option. Option 2, neutering and spaying, these rescues are already doing, but it's not enough. It's not making a difference. So we're here for option 3. An ordinance to prohibit the sale of rabbits in Brevard and prohibit backyard breeders, at least until the situation is effectively managed. Other surrounding counties are pursuing this, and we hope Brevard will do the same. By stopping the sale of rabbits in pet stores or at flea markets or in people's backyards, this will prevent the impulse buy, which prevents the child from losing interest, which prevents the adult from putting it outside, et cetera, and hopefully terminates this never-ending cycle. So we are here humbly asking for your help. We don't have the power, but you do. Please consider an ordinance. We have animals that are suffering that don't deserve to, and rescue groups that are exhausted and broke financially. Please give us some hope to keep going. And if you have time on Friday afternoon, please drop by the VR Community Center to see some adoptable bunnies and learn more from Space Coast Bunnies Rescue. Thank you all so much for your time and consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Melanie. Mr. Heffelfinger. And after Mr. Heffelfinger, Gwen Burley.
Rick Heffelfinger, 2000 Juniper Drive, wonderful District 1. I titled my comment card, "What did we learn today?" And I just kind of use it because this is great. We got the public comment. We get John's wonderful stuff or Commissioner Tobias' wonderful stuff. And some of that stuff I don't think was worthless. I thought the planes were cool. But it's really interesting. I don't understand something about the government that I wish somebody would explain. You got a TDO and a TDC, right? So they take all these grant applications, they get to use the money, and then they submit the stuff to you, and then you guys just do whatever the hell you're going to do. Are they a wasted element in this? Because I thought they were they're the ones that know how to manage tourism, right? But it seems like whatever they do doesn't seem to. Now, are they doing what they should do? If they give you crappy proposals and the grants are not properly applied for, they should intercept that. But we spend a whole lot of time talking about these grants. And you know what? I don't care, because I don't spend my money here, except my taxes. I don't go to these hotels down here because they're too expensive. So that's all somebody else's money. I don't really care. But you guys spend a whole lot of money just nitpicking through their stuff, and I don't understand why have a tourist development council if you don't do what they, I thought they were supposed to be the experts. If they're not, you ought to fire them. I don't know if they're paid. Are they staff? They don't seem to do much for you, although I hear some people say they do a great job, and then other people say, hey, they're submitting this stuff that's completely bogus. I don't know why you spend so much time, but I learned that today. Be nice to see something happen. Oh, and the other thing, Merritt Island, here's the problem. You're not a city. You incorporate, you collect some more money, you get your yards mowed. Now, I don't know if the county's intentionally not mowing your grass just so you can become incorporated, but that's an interesting question, isn't it? So that's what I learned. Thank you. It was a great meeting. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Gwen Burley on rabbits, and after Gwen, it's Catherine Zaringi, on K.
2 minutes or 3? Gwen Burley, 155 Diane Circle in the Atlantic, District 5. I've been researching the rabbit dumping situation for 5 years. In 2019, when this county commission was doing a dog and cat ordinance, I was getting one done for rabbits and other animals in Indian Harbor. Since that time, since 2019, there have been 5 to 7 other jurisdictions in Florida that have gone ahead and done a retail pet sale ban for rabbits. So I have helped provide documentation for the people that were advocating for that. And I'm really disappointed that in that 5 years, we get nothing from this commission. It's time for you people to sit down with a charity that is providing a service for your animal services, basically. Somebody either needs to come up with an exotic vet at your animal services facility that will provide free spay and neuters for this charity, or you need to expand your animal services shelter to intake, because the charity that's providing a free function for you can't keep up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Z. I'm sorry about pronunciation. Michael Bramson, you're next.
Hi, my name is Catherine Zarang.
Sorry.
It's quite all right. Nobody gets it right. I live in Merritt Island, and I am here also asking for an ordinance for the prohibition against the sale of rabbits by pet stores and backyard breeders in Brevard County. Rabbits are the third most abandoned pet behind cats and dogs, yet county resources to handle this issue are practically non-existent. Shelters can't or won't provide for the rabbits. And there is only one low-cost spay or neuter program which can deal with rabbits, but it can't even begin to address the need or the demand that there currently is. This shifts the burden of dealing with abandoned rabbit population to the citizens of Brevard. Space Coast Bunnies receives approximately 2 to 3 requests per day regarding the rescue of a dumped rabbit. In 2022, they rescued 151. In 2023, they have rescued over 75, with the numbers increasing every day. Rescues outnumber adoptions. The cost to run this nonprofit far outweigh what they receive in donations. When rabbits are rescued, they are often abandoned in or on the grounds of vacated housing. They have been hit by cars. They have been left next to trash receptacles with broken limbs. They have been attacked by other animals and often have other illnesses and are malnourished. This equates to animal abuse that is going unaddressed in the county. As prey animals, domesticated rabbits cannot survive in the wild, but they can certainly breed. With the rise in dumped rabbits, Brevard County should anticipate issues that we've seen in other parts of the state. In Orlando's Azalea Park, a colony of 26 rabbits was removed at a cost of $10,000. In Wilton Manor, a colony of 100 rabbits has cost the city $40,000. This ordinance is precedented in other counties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Catherine, Mr. Bramson, is this on bunnies?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. County Board, Vice Chair, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Not really much to add more to what's happening, but there's been a lot of great positive energy towards public safety in Brevard County the past couple months. We wanted to make sure that we took the opportunity to address the civilians, the community, the board, the staff for some of the out-of-the-box thinking, trying to get us to the place where public safety is where it needs to be here in the county. And we look forward to furthering our relationship and getting to a better place in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramson. Annabelle Baroque. And after Annabelle, it's Megan Wark, W-A-R-Y-K. Again, I apologize.
I am currently a senior in Bayside High School, and I am supporting Space Coast Bunnies and the prohibition of rabbit sales in pet stores and backyard breeders. I am a bunny owner, and action needs to occur. I cannot imagine dumping a poor, defenseless bunny into the wild. Yet this occurs far too often due to the pet store sales and backyard rabbit breeders. This number of rescues this past year has nearly quadrupled. Sadly, this is not including the number of deceased or not found or rescued rabbits. Too many rabbits have died, and too many rabbits have suffered directly due to backyard breeders, lack of education, and impulse buying from pet stores. I fell victim to misinformation and impulse buying, and it is far too common to occur. A first-time rabbit owner would not know that a bunny is a boy or a girl, a 10-year commitment, or is more work than expected. And when they realize the work that they require, they turn to dumping. If two rabbits opposite gender are dumped after the owner realizes the amount of work involved, they can possibly breed and form up to 3 million rabbits in 4 years. Not only are the 3 million rabbits in danger, suffering, and dying, but it is also a growing challenge for our rescue to keep up with this exponential number for resources and costs. I will not just be a bystander. I know this is possible to be regulated as it is for cats and dogs, but unlike cats and dogs, there is no shelter to turn to. Rabbits are domesticated just like they are. Please take this into consideration and take action before it is out of control. I do not want to see another rabbit suffer. Thank you.
Great job, Annabelle. Megan, W-A-R-Y-K, you're next. And after Megan, I've got Ashley, I'm sorry, Burke, maybe? B-E-R-K.
Hello, my name is Megan Warwick, and I am 15 years old. Today, I would like to discuss why we need to prohibit the sale of rabbits at pet stores and breeders. But first, let me tell you a story. So, you walk into the pet store, first thing you see, cute little bunny rabbits. They're adorable, aren't they? Well, you're like, it can't be that hard. I'll just get them some carrots and this little cage, and it'll be adorable. They can hang out in my bathroom. When you get home with your bag of Publix carrots and your small little cage and your adorable bunny, you find out, holy cow, this thing poops, it pees, and it stinks. And it needs a specialized vet, and I can't pay for that. But they belong in the wild, right? Let me just put it outside with its family, and it can frolic with the bees and the butterflies and be free again. Reality check. There's no again. Domesticated bunnies were never free because they are domesticated, and they don't know how to survive in the wild any more than we know how to survive without technology. All this causes overpopulation because before they die, they're going to breed, and breed, and breed, and breed, and breed, and breed. Because that's what bunnies do. This can be avoided if we simply ban the selling of rabbits from pet stores, which is where people primarily get bunnies as impulse purchases. By adopting bunnies from rescues instead, not only can we help the overpopulation issue, but we can actually reverse it. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Great job. Ashley. And after Ashley, Jessica Graham.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am back again. You know me, I'm Ashley Burke. I am a resident of District 5. And firstly, I wanted to applaud you for your support for the new Animal Services facility. This county has a reputation for looking out for animals, and I'm hoping that we can continue to have that good reputation for the county. I wanted to share that in the past 2 weeks, we've been featured twice on Fox 35. And if you notice on their Facebook posts, they had more than 35,000 reactions when normally they only get a couple dozen reactions on their posts. And the reactions were overwhelmingly in support of doing something for rabbits because people care about animal issues. We know that pet stores and backyard breeders are directly responsible for this. We know that they create a nuisance, and it's going to be a very costly nuisance, as others have pointed out. The issue here of money issues is that there are 3 pet supermarkets in Brevard County that currently sell rabbits, and 1 other privately owned pet store that sells rabbits that has been directly responsible to a number of litters, according to the people that have reached out to me for our assistance. I'm sorry. So doing nothing would be to protect that one business owner at the expense of the rest of the community. And doing nothing is not the fiscally responsible choice. We need to do something. Nature will not take care of this problem. As mentioned, Wilton Manors down in Fort Lauderdale had over 100. Situation in Rockledge is actually what started this rescue because a homeowner started out with 3 bunnies. They thought they were cute, and it turned into 100 over a 9-month period. Inaction is complicity with cruelty and neglect. Thank you so much. This is a no-brainer. I really hope you'll support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Jessica.
Hello, my name is Jessica Graham, and I live in Port St. John, along with my son Thomas, who is here today. Day after day, I see on Facebook of people finding domestic rabbits outside, asking if they are wild or not. If not wild, can someone help them? Why are they outside? Or many in animal rehoming groups posting that if no one's going to help them with their now unwanted rabbits, that they're going to set them free outside. Or backyard breeders asking what's wrong with their rabbits in the boxes outside with their head tilt, not realizing that they're all infected with EC. Or the pet stores selling bunnies that are too young to gender them correctly, giving them an unknown customer who thinks they're getting an easy starter pet, a boy and a girl, and they end up with not 2 rabbits, but 11. Now add them not knowing that they have to separate the dad and the mom immediately after birth, and now they end up with 9 more rabbits 30 days later. Rabbits can become pregnant 30 minutes after birth and can get pregnant as early as 4 months old. If you do the math, a colony can start very fast. Space Coast Bunnies and other rabbit rescues in Florida have been doing their very best to stop colonies from overtaking neighborhoods, and like it did in Wilton Manor. I understand that bunnies, or even animals in general, are at the lowest of the totem pole when it compares to other things going on in our county. I get that. But this is going to be a big problem, as big as even those problems, if ordinances don't get put into place for domestic rabbits. Please, we need to learn from Wilton Manor, and we can do something before it's that bad. There is already other counties neighboring to us and in Florida with ordinance for domestic rabbits. If other counties are able to take action, I'm confident that Brevard County can accomplish this. I want to show my son that Brevard County will and can make a difference and can make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. If there is no more comment, the Vice Chair is going to call this meeting closed at 6:57.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.